better every day. Remember, context, Shedeur. Many thought he'd be a first-round pick. He wasn't. Not a second, not a third, not a fourth. But in the 5th round, the Cleveland Browns, who had already drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round, seemingly made the mind-blowing decision of drafting Shedeur Sanders. They said it was great value at that position in the draft. Well, we didn't think Shedeur was going to get all that many reps after all. He's a 5th-round pick. He's a 4th on the depth chart. The coaches, they came out and said it was going to be an open competition. Again, that's mind-blowing. Why in the world is a 5th-round quarterback, 4th on the depth chart, going to be openly competing with the pick you traded for in Kenny Pickett or a Super Bowl champ in Joe Flacco? But that's what the coaches said nonetheless.
You know what's crazy? While Kenny Pickett was supposed to be the safe veteran option, going 38 for 63 in OTAs, a 5th-round rookie just went 41 of 53 with 9 touchdowns and made it look effortless. But here's the thing nobody's talking about. This isn't just about completion percentages. This is about a front office that might have accidentally stumbled into the steal of the century, while their proven quarterbacks are quietly having meltdowns behind closed doors. And the coaches, they're already changing their tune about who deserves first-team reps. Look, I've been around this league long enough to smell panic when it's brewing, and right now in Cleveland, there's a lot of nervous energy surrounding that quarterback room. Because what we're witnessing isn't just some feel-good rookie story. This is a complete dismantling of everything the Browns thought they knew about their depth chart. Let me paint you the picture of what's really happening in Berea right now. You've got Joe Flacco, the Super Bowl champion, the guy they brought in as the steady hand, going 18 for 35 with just 2 touchdowns. That's a completion percentage that would get you benched in college, let alone the NFL. Then there's Kenny Pickett. Remember him? The 1st-rounder Pittsburgh gave up on, the guy Cleveland traded for thinking they were getting a bargain. He's sitting there at 38 for 63, trying to convince everyone he's still got what it takes. But then, and this is where it gets really interesting, you've got this kid from Colorado, 5th-round pick, 4th on the depth chart when he walked into the building, and he's out there completing passes like he's been running Kevin Stefanski's offense for years. Now, here's what the talking heads on TV won't tell you. When James Jones from the facility says his expectations have absolutely changed about Shedeur Sanders, that's not just analyst speak. That's a former NFL player who knows what he's looking at, admitting he was wrong, dead wrong.
Since he got drafted, they have changed. Because when he got drafted, I stood up here and I believed you're a 5th-rounder. They drafted a 3rd-rounder. They traded for a 1st-round quarterback. They signed a veteran quarterback. I'm like, he's going to have an uphill battle to even make this team because I didn't think that he was even going to have the reps.
Same guy who initially thought Sanders wouldn't even make the team, and now he's saying if this kid plays well in preseason, he needs to start week 1. Think about that for a second. We're talking about a 5th-round rookie potentially leapfrogging 3 quarterbacks who are ahead of him on the depth chart. When does that ever happen? When was the last time you saw a late-round pick create this kind of chaos in a quarterback room before he'd even played a single NFL snap? But wait, it gets even more interesting when you dig into the politics of what's happening behind closed doors. AJ Hawk, who knows a thing or two about making it as a late-round pick, dropped some serious knowledge about what's really going on here. See, when you're drafted in the 5th round, you don't get the same opportunities as the guys picked ahead of you. That's just how the business works. But suddenly, Kevin Stefanski is out here talking about an open competition. You know, 4 quarterbacks competing for the starting job. You know what that tells me? That tells me they've seen something in practice that's got them rethinking everything. Because let's be real, if this was really about draft position, Sanders would be running scout, team, and hoping to make the practice squad. Instead, he's getting meaningful reps against the 2s, throwing into tight windows and making throws that have coaches doing double takes. But here's where the story gets really juicy. Multiple people are starting to call out the lies and the politics surrounding this whole situation. Jerry Jones didn't lie when he showed interest in Sanders. Everyone knew he wasn't coming to Dallas.
Get that boy a chance to start and stop messing around with this thing.
And lie really quick, lied to is when somebody like is proven in front of you. Like, Jerry Jones didn't lie to you. You knew he wasn't coming in there to start over Dak. You know what I'm saying?
The Titans lied to us, for sure.
The Steelers did too.
The Titans lied to us.
The Saints did too.
Whether we know it or not, they lied to us. You feel me?
Well,
like, if you know your son was out doing what he was doing, but no, Daddy, I was studying. It don't mean you don't know.
They've been saying Cam Ward #1 pick the whole.
Not then.
Start over Dak, but teams like the Titans, the Saints, they absolutely lied about their interest. They had you believing they were serious about taking Sanders high, then they went in completely different directions. And now Kevin Stefanski might be doing the same thing. He's talking about this four-way competition, but guess who's the only quarterback not getting first-team reps in OTAs? That's right, Shedeur Sanders. So either this competition isn't as open as they're claiming, or they're about to make some serious changes when training camp starts. You want to know what's really eating at these veterans? It's not just that Sanders is completing passes, it's how he's completing them. We're talking about throws into extremely tight windows on the sideline. NFL-level throws that rookies aren't supposed to be making consistently. When you see a kid making throws that require that level of precision and timing, that's when alarm bells start going off for the guys ahead of him on the depth chart. And speaking of alarm bells, let's talk about what's happening with Joe Flacco. This is supposed to be the veteran presence, the guy who knows the system and can manage the game. But 18 for 35, that's not managing anything. That's struggling to complete basic passes in practice. When your safe option is throwing incomplete passes in shorts and t-shirts, you've got problems. Kenny Pickett isn't much better. Sure, he had that one good day going 8 for 11, but overall, 38 for 63 is not the stat line of a starting quarterback. That's the completion percentage of a guy who's pressing, who knows the rookie behind him is breathing down his neck and making it look easy. Here's something else that's not getting enough attention: the Caitlin Clark comparison. You know why people keep bringing up Sanders and comparing his impact to what Clark did in basketball? Because both of them walked into situations where they weren't supposed to be the story, and suddenly everyone's talking about them. The Browns haven't been relevant in quarterback conversations for years. Now every single day there's a new story about their quarterback competition. That's not an accident, but let's dig numbers because this is where it gets fascinating from a football perspective. Sanders going 41 for 9 touchdowns isn't just good, it's elite level accurate. But here's what makes it even more impressive. He's doing this while working primarily with the second team. He's not throwing to Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy with the first team offensive line protecting him. He's making it work with backup receivers and backup protection, and he's still putting up numbers that are embarrassing the guys ahead of him. Dylan Gabriel, the third-round pick, went 48 for 83. That's a 57.8% completion rate in practice. When there's no pass rush, when you know the routes, when everything is supposed to be easier. Sanders is sitting there at 77.4% completion rate like it's nothing. You know what that tells me? That tells me when the pads come on, when there's real pressure, when it actually matters, the gap is only going to get wider. And this brings us to the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. What happens if Sanders balls out in preseason? Because right now, everyone's trying to manage expectations, trying to slow play this whole thing. But what happens when this kid gets in there with the lights on and starts making plays that have people jumping out of their seats? What happens when the completion percentages translate to real game situations? The pressure on this organization is going to be enormous. Think about it. The Browns haven't had consistent quarterback play in decades. They've been cycling through retreads and draft busts for years. And suddenly they might have their franchise guy sitting there as a 5th-round pick while they're paying big money to guys who can't complete 60% of their passes in practice. Here's what I think is really happening behind the scenes: the coaching. Staff is trying to play politics, trying to manage egos, and respect the veterans who were brought in to compete. But every day Sanders steps on that practice field, he's making it harder and harder to justify keeping him as the 4th quarterback. Because here's the thing about talent, it doesn't lie. You can't fake making throws into tight windows. You can't fake processing information quickly and getting the ball out on time. You can't fake having the arm strength to make every throw in the playbook. And when Deuce Staley, the running backs coach, says they're in pajamas right now, and he'll let you know when they put the pads on, that should terrify the veterans. Because if Sanders is doing this in pajamas, what's he going to do when it's real football? The other thing that's not getting enough attention is the mental side of this competition. Sanders isn't just completing passes, he's doing it while dealing with the pressure of being the low man on the totem pole. Every throw matters more for him than it does for Flacco or Pickett. Every rep is an audition, and instead of cracking under that pressure, he's thriving. That's not something you can teach. That's not something you can coach. That's the difference between guys who have it and guys who don't. But here's where this story takes another interesting turn: the timeline. Training camp is going to fly by. Before you know it, it's preseason games, then boom, regular season. And if Sanders is going to get a real shot, he needs to start getting first team reps soon. Not in August when everything's already decided, but now when there's still time to build chemistry and learn the nuances of working with the starting offense. The fact that he hasn't gotten those reps yet is either the coaching staff playing politics, or it's them trying to slow roll this whole thing to avoid creating a circus. But here's the problem with that approach. Talent has a way of forcing your hand, and let's talk about what this means for the veterans in that room. You think Kenny Pickett isn't feeling the heat? You think he's not looking over his shoulder? Every time Sanders makes another perfect throw, the guy already got run out of Pittsburgh, and now he's in Cleveland trying to prove he belongs, while a rookie is making him look ordinary. Joe Flacco, at this stage of his career, he knows his window is closing. Every incomplete pass in practice is a reminder that Father Time is undefeated. And now he's got to deal with watching a 22-year-old make throws he used to make look routine. Here's the reality that nobody wants to admit. If Sanders continues this trajectory, if he keeps making throws and showing this level of accuracy and poise, the Browns are going to have to make a decision. And that decision is going to come a lot sooner than anyone expected, because you know what happens when a late round quarterback starts showing franchise level talent. The whole organization starts questioning everything. Why did 31 other teams pass on this guy? How did we get this lucky? And more importantly, how fast can we get him on the field? The comparison to Dak Prescott's rookie year isn't just casual analyst talk. Remember what happened there. Dak was supposed to be the backup, maybe develop for a year or two behind Tony Romo. Then he got his shot and never gave it back. Sound familiar? But here's what makes Sanders' situation even more compelling. He's not just outplaying career backups. He's outplaying guys who were brought in specifically to compete for the starting job. That changes everything. So here's what I'm watching for as we head into training camp. Does Sanders finally start getting first team reps? Because if he does, and if he continues this level of play, the conversation is going to shift real quick from can he make the team to when does he become the starter? And if you're Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco, that should absolutely terrify you, because right now a 5th round rookie is making you look ordinary, and he's doing it without breaking a sweat. This is exactly what we needed to make the Browns relevant again. Not another aging veteran or recycled starter, but a young quarterback with the talent and confidence to come in and shake things up from day one. The question isn't whether Sanders has the talent. Those 41 completions out of 53 attempts answered that question. The question is whether the Browns are going to have the courage to ride with their best player, regardless of where he was drafted. And if they don't, if they let politics and draft position keep their most talented quarterback on the bench, that might be the biggest mistake this franchise has made in years. But something tells me we won't have to worry about that, because talent like this doesn't stay hidden for long, and Cleveland fans deserve to see what their 5th round steal can really do when he gets his shot. The countdown to training camp starts now. And honestly, I can't wait to see Kenny Pickett's face when Sanders starts taking first team snaps. What do you think? Is Sanders about to pull off the biggest upset of the upcoming season? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, because this quarterback battle is just getting started and you don't want to miss what happens next.